Hey, my name is Drew Dodds, and I work as a product manager here at Rudder CLI. Today, I'm excited to announce that we now support custom data types within our Rudder CLI tool. So in this video, I'm going to show you how you can leverage this feature within the workspace configuration files, and then how you can push those or apply those changes into your workspace. So today, we're going to be working on this e-commerce site here where we have some product pages, we have a cart, we have an order, checkout process, and let's say that the marketing department comes to you and says that, hey, we're building some robust customer profiles within the warehouse, and a part of those profiles, we want to have the customer's billing address and shipping address. But we don't want a bunch of messy data that we've gotten in the past. So you guys go back and forth and you agree upon a data structure for what you want these address properties to look like. You know that you need to leverage custom types in this scenario. You need to create a object that has a very defined structure to it, along with validation rules applied to it. So you agree that this structure needs to have the address, the city, the state, and the zip code. Procurement also comes to you and says that, hey, we also care about this data, and we want to make sure that we understand, we have context on the products of the product viewed events as well as the order checkout events. So you agree on a data structure for this as well, and that you need to pass a products object within the payloads that have specific sub-properties around that consist of context around the products at the time of the events. So coming into our workspace here, you can see we have our e-commerce site source, and we have within our governance tab, we don't actually have anything defined because we're going to do this all within the workspace configuration files. So that being said, let's jump into our workspace configuration. And this is our e-commerce site project. Within this project, I have a tracking plan subdirectory where we have our workspace configurations. You can see we have our events.yaml, our properties YAML, our tracking plans YAML, and then now what we're sporting is this custom types YAML. This is where we're going to define our custom types rules. So if you remember both of these scenarios, even though there's a number of different ways that you can leverage custom types, both of these scenarios are going to call for an object. So we're going to create a custom type which is an object with a very specific structure, and that structure is going to be that it consists of some base properties with validation rules applied. So we need to actually create these base properties first. So I'm going to come over to our properties.yaml, and I'm going to, for the sake of time, paste in these base properties, and then we're going to build our custom type. So first, let's paste in our product properties, the properties that we're going to use as the base properties for our products object. So I'm going to paste those in here, and these properties will have their individual property rules and validations applied to them. So I pasted in, so we got product ID, product SKU, name, category, price, and MSRP. Now let's build our base properties that we're going to use for the address custom type. So let's paste those in right here. We're going to do, I define address, city, state, and zip code. So now we have our base properties defined. Let's now build our custom types. So I'm going to come into our custom types YAML, and this is where we're going to create these rules here. So the first one I'm going to do is the one that we're going to apply to the product property, which we're going to pass through our product viewed event. So I will paste that in here. Okay, and so I'm going to name this product object, and you can see that we're going to define, as far as the type, the data type is going to be an object. But you can see within the definition here, we're actually defining what this object is going to look like. We're defining the data structure, in which case we're defining the properties that are going to make up this object, and we are actually referencing these base properties. You can see that we're referencing product ID, product SKU, name, category, everything that we defined in the earlier step. So let's now define the custom type that we're going to apply to our address properties. I'm going to find that right here. I'm going to name this address type, and then you can see this is going to be a type object, of course, the same thing. And we're going to reference our address, city, state, zip code base properties. So I'm going to save this file. Now we want to come back to our properties YAML here and define the properties that we're actually going to apply these custom type rules that we've just created to. So let's define the products property first. So I'll paste that in here. We're going to call this product. This property is going to be called product. And for the type, we're not going to define object here, because this is actually a very specific data structure that we define. So what I'm going to do is reference this custom type, and that's going to be the products object. Now let's do the same thing for the address type. So I'll do that down here. We're actually going to have two properties, shipping address, and billing address. So let's look at the definition. Within the type key, we are actually referencing this address custom type that we just created within the custom types YAML. You can see the same thing for both the shipping address and the billing address. So you can see the value here in that though the actual values that are passed through within these two separate properties may be different, we want them to have the same structure and validation rules. That way, any address properties that you're going to collect across your sources, or even if you have other stores that you're going to hook up tracking to, you can apply the same structure here. You'd only have to define that once and then reference it within these properties. The final thing I want to apply is one last property here called product array. This is actually going to be on the order completed event. If somebody buys more than one product, again, the procurement team and the marketing team wanted to have context around the product. So we already created this product property that has the product object custom type applied to it. But in the case of an order completed event, a customer can buy more than one product. So we actually want to pass an array of that product object in through that event. So we created and defined that here. The last piece is to go to our tracking plan and make sure to build upon our event schemas that we want to track. So we brought in this business logic within our data definitions and our data catalog here. Now we want to make sure that we can apply that. We want to push this to our tracking plan so that the front-end engineer can actually pull that down through the API using Rudder Typer to make sure to instrument these events correctly. So within our product viewed event, I'm going to paste in this new property that we created called product, which remember is that object with the product object rule applied to it. And then I'll come down to our order completed event. And this is where we're going to add our address properties as well as our product array. So let's add those here. And okay, that looks great. Okay, let's use the Rudder CLI tool to push these changes to our site. So I've already authenticated within my terminal session. I'm just going to validate to make sure our YAML configuration is correct. All right, and now let's push these to our workspace. So I'm going to do Rudder CLI TP apply, and this is going to show the different resources that we created or updated. You can see that we have under custom type, we have address, product object. We've updated our tracking plan, etc. So that all looks good. I'm going to hit yes and enter. Okay, the push has been completed, so let's go in our workspace, do a hard refresh and confirm. Okay, so within our data catalog, you can see our events that we've created. You can see our properties. You can see we have this base property here, address, with its own individual dedicated property rules applied to. But then we have the billing address here, which you can see under the data type is actually this custom type, which is address city, which is an object that consists of the address, city, state, zip code. Let's also confirm our product object here. There we go. So now we can tell our front-end engineer that he can use Rudder Typer to pull down this data catalog, to pull down the tracking plan, and understand these business rules within his development environment. So we covered a lot in this video, but I hope that it was helpful for you to see an end-to-end example of where we can utilize RudderStack's data catalog and tracking plan and workspace configuration files in order to bring the business in and decide exactly what it is we want to track and make sure that we instrument our tracking according to our event schemas. So in the future, if you want to instrument more events or event tracking on new sources, we now have a rich data catalog and tracking plans all in code and version appropriately. And you can iterate even faster and push that to Rudder Typer so that the front-end developers can reference that while instrumenting. So now, with the support of custom types within your configuration, you can define even more complicated data structures and advanced rules to make sure that you're collecting the right data at the source. And you can really see the value and the power of these tools being used in conjunction and how this really unlocks quick and accurate event stream instrumentation for your business so that you can better understand your users and how to make your app or website better to increase revenue for your business.